on. But what do you make of the race so far? What background can you use? What's your take on this fascinating Missouri First District congressional race?
Yeah, I think it'll be definitely interesting. Did they already announce who won?
I think I don't think yet in that race. No,
Oh, okay, because it's
they
going to be
just.
definitely
By
an
the
interesting
way,
race.
they definitely did just call it for Roger Marshall. By the way, in the U.S. Senate primary. So Chris Kobach, much to the Democrats' chagrin, is
Yeah, yeah,
has been
a little bit upsetting about that.
He's going to go up against Roger Marshall. Roger Marshall will go up against the Democrat Barbara Bollier for this Kansas Senate seat. She was a state senator in Kansas. Barbara who used to be a Republican as well. So I don't know. I'm sure you will not be expecting a lot of great things, whether it's Roger Marshall or Barbara Bollier in there when the Senate comes. But it could be, if she's able to hold off and really challenge Roger Marshall, it could be a pretty critical part to the Senate majority. But anyway, I don't want you to talk about that yet. We'll get to that, but. First, though, back to this Missouri Senate race, James.
Yeah, I think it's going to be definitely crucial to see who wins in this race because Lacey Clay has had, well, both him and his father have actually held on to this district for both together 50 years. And it's almost like Lipinski out in Illinois, besides the fact they didn't literally succeed each other. Lipinski succeeded someone else, I believe.
I think
but
Crowley
his father as well.
I think also Crowley had a very similar situation where he had a political mentor who retired at just the opportune time so that he could be appointed to the seat.
Yeah, I think I don't know about Crowley. I wouldn't be shocked though, because even I believe his niece ran for borough president this year, Elizabeth. I don't know if it's his niece or someone related. I know obviously in the family because she had the Crowley last name. She might have married into the family, but I know she ran for borough president in Queens this year. She did not win. Yeah, which I'm actually a little bit shocked about that because they have a pretty big machine vote. But going back to Missouri, I think that this is really going to be a referendum to see basically is, look, they did this same run in 2018, Cory Bush and Lacey Clay, but this was a much different year.
Yes.
Yeah, the base was pretty fired up, the progressive base, but nothing like it is this year. I mean, I was completely incorrect to say that Elliot Engel was going to win. I mean, that was a really big shocker, to be honest with you, but also at the same time, it really wasn't with the whole thing with the video. And that definitely hurt quite a lot of people. Yeah, definitely. And then going back to what I was saying with Lacey, I think that this is going to be a really big referendum because he is a pretty big influential person in this area. I mean, his father represented it, he's represented it, and he previously had beat Cory Bush last year, 2 years ago, in the primary. And if she comes back and really, if she comes back and wins, that will be a really big kind of whack in the butt for Lacey, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and it would be another further blow to the Democratic machine, which starting especially 2 years ago, and especially in places like New York, has been almost completely dismantled, or especially over the past 2 years, starting with the AOC falling, and then a lot of people in the Independent Democratic Conference falling later that same year, and then, of course, with Bowman beating Engel, that was huge as well. And then, of course, if we see something like this, I think that will really start to make people nervous. And you may wonder, why is Cory Bush running again if she lost last time by 20 points? Well, there are a few reasons why this year is different. She's done a lot better in fundraising, got a lot more early support from bigger folks like Bernie Sanders and AOC, and that has really allowed her to spend a lot more on this race, organize a lot better, and put herself within much more of a shot of contention. So that is why I think a lot of people are looking at this race as a possible major kind of upset pickup swing for progressives at the moment. But yeah, there has been some pretty interesting stuff. I know it's going to be much to your chagrin, James. I know how much you hate Ryan Grimm, but I do want to play some of what Ryan Grimm says. Unfortunately, you can't hear it.
Well, I can explain myself as to why,
yeah, I'm sure you can, but it's more just about the content of this race. But I'll pretty much play a clip, summarize for you, James, since you can't really hear, and then we'll figure it out. We'll analyze more.
And Cory Bush responded by saying that Lacey Clay was, putting Muslim lives in the district in danger.
And this, of course, remember, this is about the mailer that Cory Bush, was sent out about Cory Bush comparing Linda Sarsour saying she would not be a friend of Israel. The
Linda anti-Semitic one. Yeah,
I
actually was reading about that a couple minutes ago.
And again, I think that's kind of interesting because are people in this kind of, I think,
They're not really that Jewish.
like that urban district, are they really going to be motivated by like what's going on in Israel? I don't think so.
No.
Yeah,
No.
which,
Like
it
my
doesn't make a lot of
district and your
sense.
district, we are probably the only two
by
that
circulating
I've heard
this,
so
this
far
image
that
of Linda
would.
Sarsour and a
And that was
hijab
only
and
because
suggesting that there's
both of our
something
districts had
scary.
a sizable Jewish population, but like all the other primaries where the incumbents are trying to use the Israeli record to show that they're good is not really helping them, I don't really think.
Very and un-American about Sarsour and about Bush, and so that's kind of been maybe the most intense back and forth, but it's all been ugly. Clay has gone negative on television, which is highly unusual because by people like Sanders and the CPC does is it tells voters no, actually there is a difference between these. For instance,
right now in the co-box.
Lacey responded by saying that Lacey Clay was putting Muslim lives in the district in danger by circulating this image of Linda Sarsour in a hijab and suggesting that there's something scary and un-American about Sarsour and responded by saying that Lacey Clay was putting Muslim lives in the district in danger by circulating this image of Linda Sarsour in a hijab and suggesting that there's something scary and un-American about Sarsour and about Bush, and so that's kind of been maybe the most intense back and forth, but it's all been ugly. Clay has gone negative on television, which is highly unusual because incumbents would much prefer to just simply ignore their challenger, or if they go up on television, to just talk about their record. Like Joe Crowley, for instance, Richie Neal, they both talk about their record, talk about how they've defeated Trump. They sort of don't they've gone after Trump. They don't want to lower themselves by going negative against the incumbent, but it's a reflection of how seriously Lacey Clay is taking the challenge by Cori Bush that he has gone so negative. He's hit her for her nursing license lapsed for a very short period of time. She had some back taxes, which almost everybody in the country has had back taxes at one point. He hit her for that. He has basically said that her life experience to this point does not qualify her to be a member of Congress. Cori Bush obviously is rose to prominence as a leader of the Ferguson protests.
Yeah, I mean I saw some of the mailers in that race.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you notice the remarks there, like the part that really sticks out to me the most, I think probably more than anything, is what he said there at the very end. Like the point that Lacey Clay was trying to make that was that the experience that is possessed by Cori Bush does not make her fit to be in politics, and that experience is a lot of times working with the community as an organizer. And what is his experience? Like we talked about it just before. It's like it's fighting so that the fiduciary rule couldn't be passed in the financial crisis. Like I know which experience I'd take. Like actually, like literally putting my life on the line in the Ferguson protests, or fighting for Wall Street. Like it really kind of shows you the kind of like deeply negative, deeply aggressive tone that Lacey Clay, and I think the Democratic Party and the Democratic elite establishment as a whole has taken these kind of progressive primary challenges more and more as they continue to happen. Do you see do you sense more and more fear in the Democratic caucus about some of these primaries?
Oh, I mean, definitely. I mean, the DCCC. Well, I didn't see what they put into his race yet, but for example, with Elliot Engel's race, they were pouring in a lot of money into his district because they knew that he was in trouble. And a lot of the establishment people are starting to realize that they really aren't finding good ways to respond to constructive criticism on their previous downsides. And the thing that I really dislike about the way in which, even with Engel, how he responded, which was just by trashing, or at least trying to trash, on Bauman, which by far does not respond correctly to any sort of constructive criticism. All it shows is your very low character. And I think that they're really kind of helpless, they really just, the reason why they're not even responding to it, a lot of these people, is mainly because of the fact that they don't actually have a reason for it other than they're bought out and sold most likely by PACs. Like Lacey Clay, I'm looking at him right now for finance. He's getting more money from finance than Paul Ryan got as well. He was in the House. He's getting that's pretty impressive. As I go over to the Senate, he's getting more than Marco Rubio. He's getting more than Rick Scott. He's getting more than what's his guy's? Oh yeah, he's getting more than his Wow, that's actually weird. Okay, he's actually getting more than Josh Hawley. Wow, it's actually look, because Hawley was getting a lot of money in 2018 for his Senate race, and Clay actually received more super PAC money from financial bureaucrats than Hawley did, which really, to be honest, I mean, look at his past record, though. I mean, he was one who was adamantly against reforming a lot of things on Wall Street, and he's still, I mean, he hasn't even come out, I don't think, and even apologize for his record right now in the House. I didn't even really know of him before this whole primary happened, and that really goes to show that he's not really doing really anything that's really motivational that is being put in the news, to be honest. And I think also I was reading that he defended his vote for the Iraq War. Instead of apologizing like the majority of Democrats who voted for the Iraq War, they went out and later apologized for that vote. He defended it adamantly and said that he saw no reason to apologize for a vote that he felt was necessary, to give even more context.
William Lacey Clay?
Yeah.
Wow. That's really saying something. It just really seems like a guy who, I mean, at least my read on it personally is he's gotten so comfortable in his district. His father has, he feels like he just can't lose.
It sounds like Joe Crowley, yeah.
Yeah, he feels like he's just he's always going to be there. He's going to be there forever. And it is really, really, really interesting. So Rashida Tlaib, she says she's feeling confident about the results as they begin to trickle in for her.
Yeah.
Some people on Twitter have been calling it, but I think it's pretty. It's not entirely over yet, but I think
it's 1%.
It's pretty fair to say that I think Tlaib has the strong upper hand in a scenario like this. Would you agree with that?
I think that, Nancy Pelosi endorsed her, so I think she does have an advantage here. I think that she's probably going to pull it out and win because she has the incumbent advantage. But
and
then
a
again,
big big fundraising advantage as well. I would add.
Yeah, and then the other thing with Brian Jones, I think it really matters on if she actually took advantage of campaigning before the pandemic kind of shut down everything.
Yeah.
Because she already announced her run before the entire. She actually announced her run a couple months after Rashida took office in January of 2019. So, she's been in the race for already a good amount of a year and a half now, I'd have to say. And if she really ran for it on the ground and actually knocking on doors, I could see this being a close race. I mean, she is a pretty powerful person in Detroit. She is on the city council. She is representing a majority black constituency, so it's the congressional district. And if she really can get down to the roots in the community, maybe she could actually pull off something pretty interesting race to watch, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is kind of anecdotal, but a lot of the biggest stuff that I've seen from Tlaib on Twitter has been all about her big thing has been how rooted in the community she is. She makes this hashtag and stuff 13 strong. I mean, I would argue that she's done a pretty good job of it, but I'd say her biggest campaign and messaging is I've been a part of this district, I've been around this district, and that is something you can't take away from. You can say whatever you want. You can say a bunch of things. Say I'm controversial. Say I'm far left or whatever. And I'm sure she'd be happy to cop to those, and she probably wouldn't see them as criticisms. But I think the biggest thing she's been really pushing is I'm around in my district. I'm not going to be the one who's going to be accused of being out of step with my district, and I think that's a big part of her incumbency. That's who she was running against with. It's really who she was trying to take to task there, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would say that she's definitely trying to make herself look like a formidable candidate against someone who is a serious contender for the race. I mean, if you're going based off who's in, local politics does have a pretty big influence in races sometimes. And Brennan Jones, while she was picked for the race, when Rashida beat her in the primary, or I believe it's actually the runoff. I forgot what exactly it was. I think it actually was the primary. She beat Jones by a very a tight margin. But then again, there were like 6 candidates in the race at the time, so it's pretty much like a chopped up ballot.
Yeah, and she really does. I think
this is going to be.
Yeah, she had to take this one so seriously because I think it was so close.
Yeah, and I think she's taking it pretty seriously. Now, I think that Nancy Pelosi's endorsement is definitely going to help her. I mean, because a lot of African American voters typically do